Wake up. You're there. In your bed that smells of good intentions and sheets changed 3 days ago. The first thing you do, you check your phone. 5 messages. 3 from that person who swears they love you. One says, "I was thinking of you." Another, "You're special." The third, "No one understands me like you." Sound romantic? Wait, because that feeling in your stomach, that lump in your throat as you read, that's not love. It's a warning bell. Your body already knows it. Your gut knows it before your brain does. Because you, dear chronic empath, have developed an emotional radar that works better than GPS. And that radar is screaming at you that something stinks. But you ignore it, because they've taught you that being sensitive means being kind, always, even when they're bleeding you dry. You stand up. The floor is cold. Your knees creak like crumpled paper. You look in the bathroom mirror and see a person who learned to read other people's emotions before they even learned to read books. As a child, you captured every micro-expression on your mother's face, every sigh from your father, every silence filled with threat or promise. You had no choice. It was survival. When love is conditional, when security depends on predicting the moods of the adults around you, you become a human radar, an emotional antenna, a simultaneous translator of unspoken moods. It's not a gift. It's a weapon you forged yourself so you wouldn't die inside. Breakfast, burnt coffee and a toasted slice of toast that feels like recycled cardboard. You think of that person, the one who told you, "You're too much, too sensitive, too deep, too intense." It wasn't like that at first. At first, they adored you for precisely that. They told you, "Finally, someone who understands me." They told you, "You have a gift." They told you, "You're magical." And you believed it, because it's true, right? You understand. You feel. You sense the undercurrents that others ignore. But then, something changed. Slowly. Like when milk is about to go bad but doesn't smell completely bad yet. First a joke, then an eye roll, then, "Come on, it's not that serious." Then, "Why do you always have to analyze everything?" Then, "You're a pain." And you started to wonder if maybe, just maybe, they were right. You leave your house. The world outside is an orchestra of chaos. Horns blaring, people walking like busy zombies, empty faces, dead eyes. And you, in the midst of it all, feel like a raw nerve. Because while everyone else seems to navigate this reality with a kind of emotional anesthesia, you feel it all. Every vibration, every nuance, every unspoken lie. You get on the subway. A guy bumps into you without apology. A woman is on the phone complaining about her husband. A boy stares into space with headphones stuck in his ears, as if he can silence the universe. And you sense their exhaustion, their desperation masquerading as normalcy, their hunger for true connection hidden behind walls of cynicism. But no one wants you to tell them, because the truth hurts, and people prefer familiar pain to uncomfortable healing. You arrive at work. Open space, neon lights that make everyone look like walking corpses. Your coworker, the one who always complains, sees you and lights up. There's his favorite victim. He tells you about his disastrous weekend, about his girlfriend who doesn't understand him, about his boss who's mad at him. And you listen, because that's what you do. You listen, you understand, you mirror, you offer insights he never had on his own. And as he speaks, you see him light up, feeling understood, feeling seen. But as soon as he finishes, he disappears. No, "And how are you?" No, "Thank you for listening." Nothing. Because to him, you're not a person. You're a service, an emotional ATM. You withdraw empathy when you need it, and then you leave. And if one day the ATM is empty, you complain that the service sucks.
Lunch break, cold sandwich, and sad salad. You check your phone. More messages from that person. "Where are you? Why aren't you answering? I thought we were close." And you feel that weight, that guilt, because they've programmed you to believe that if someone is suffering, it's your fault. That if someone feels alone, you have to be there, always, no matter what, even when it costs you your sanity, even when it drains you, even when you know deep down, that person doesn't truly love you. They use you. But calling it use would be too harsh, too obvious, too painful. So you call it need. They need me. Sounds better, sounds noble, but it's the same shit with a bow on it. Afternoon. Endless meeting. People talking without saying anything. PowerPoint presentations that sound like torture approved by the Geneva Convention. And you sitting there perceive the hidden dynamics. The boss compensating for insecurity with arrogance. The colleague smiling, but clenching her fists under the table. The marketing guy lying, knowing he's lying, but hoping no one will notice. You know it, you feel it, but what if you say it? You're the paranoid one, the one complicating things, the one seeing problems where there aren't any. Because most people live in such a deep state of denial that the truth seems like science fiction. They've buried their emotions so deeply that when they meet someone who still feels them, that person seems alien, dangerous, wrong. If you too have that radar that screams the truth at you while everyone else pretends everything is fine, leave a like now so I know you're not alone and that you're not crazy. You come home, you're exhausted, not from the physical labor, but from the invisible emotional labor, from absorbing the emotions of 10 different people, from being a container for frustrations that aren't yours, from providing energy you didn't have. You sit on the couch. Your phone vibrates. That person again. We need to talk. And you know what that means. It means you've been too busy, too distant, too self-absorbed. It means you haven't responded quickly enough, that you haven't paid enough attention, that you haven't done enough to make them feel better. Because that's your role, in their minds, is to make them feel better. Always. And when you don't do it, you become the bad guy. Even if you're literally killing yourself for them. Dinner. Overcooked pasta and jarred sauce. You look out the window. House lights on, lives unfolding behind closed curtains. And you wonder how many of those people are experiencing the same thing. How many exhausted empaths are wondering why the people who love them make them feel so empty. How many are trying to understand why giving everything is never enough. Why being understanding is mistaken for weakness. Why emotional depth is treated as a flaw to be corrected instead of a gift to be celebrated. And then you realize, it's not you. It was never you. It's them, those people who found you, who were drawn to your light, but not to love it, to extinguish it. Because here's the truth no one tells you. There are people out there who have abandoned their humanity, who have chosen cynicism over connection, who have buried their emotions so deeply that they don't even remember how they really feel. And when these people meet you, a true empath, something strange happens. At first, they idealize you. They put you on a pedestal. You're so special. You have a rare sensitivity. You understand me like no one else. They feel you different, deep, authentic. And for a moment, being with you makes them feel alive. It makes them feel as if you can too access that depth, as if your light can illuminate even their darkness. But then the inevitable happens. Your presence begins to act as a mirror. It reflects their emotional poverty. It shows them how much they've become disconnected, how much they've given up, how empty they've become. And instead of using that mirror to look within themselves, to do the necessary work on themselves to reconnect with their lost humanity, they do the only thing they know how to do. They attack the mirror. They attack you. Because it's easier to tell you that you're the one who's wrong than to admit that they've abandoned themselves. It starts with small things, seemingly innocent comments. You're thinking too much. Not everything has a hidden meaning. Relax a bit. Phrases that seem like friendly advice, but they're not. They're attempts to normalize you, to reduce you to their dimension, to convince you that your sensitivity is a problem rather than a strength. Because your emotional authenticity makes them feel exposed. It forces them to confront how much they've sold themselves, how much they've accepted a superficial life, how much they've betrayed themselves to fit into a world that rewards emotional numbness.
And when subtle comments don't work, they escalate. They start ridiculing you. There you go again with your psychological theories. Can't you just enjoy the moment? Why do you always have to be so intense? They make fun of your sensitivity in front of others. They make you feel like your whole being is a burden, an exaggeration, an unnecessary drama. They treat you like you're fragile, unstable, too much, always too much. And slowly, if you're not careful, you start to believe it. You start to think that maybe they're right, that maybe you should be different, less profound, less yourself. But listen carefully to this part. When someone tells you you're too emotional, what they're really saying is, I'm too insensitive. When they tell you you think too much, they're admitting that they've stopped thinking about anything important. When they accuse you of being dramatic, they're confessing their inability to manage real emotions. Every criticism is a projection. Every attack is an admission. Every attempt to belittle you is evidence of their fear, because you represent something they've lost, something they've given up. And seeing you still living in that emotional truth drives them crazy. They envy you, but they'll never tell you so clearly. Envy is different from jealousy. Jealousy wants to have what you have. Envy wants to destroy what you have. Jealousy says, I want that sensitivity too. Envy says, if I can't have it, neither should you. And the people who envy you can't stand your authenticity, because every time they see you being vulnerable, being honest, being profound, it reminds them how fake they've become, superficial, dead inside. And instead of working on themselves, they decide it's easier to kill your light, because if they can convince you that your sensitivity is a flaw, they can stop feeling guilty for losing their own. Night. You're in bed. The room is dark. The silence is heavy. And you think of all those times you put your own needs aside to meet theirs. All those times you listened for hours without receiving even 5 minutes in return. All those times you sensed their sadness, their anger, their fear, and did the emotional labor for them without being paid, without being thanked. Quite the opposite, only to be criticized for being too involved, as if giving were a crime, as if worrying were a weakness, as if truly loving were something to be ashamed of. And you realize something. These people don't love you. They can't love you. Because loving means celebrating the other for who they are. And they don't celebrate you. They tolerate you when you serve their purposes. They appreciate you when you're useful. They call you special when they need something. But the moment you have needs of your own, they disappear. The moment you express discomfort, they make you feel guilty. The moment you set boundaries, they accuse you of having changed, of becoming cold, distant, selfish. Because for them, the only acceptable you is the one who exists for them. This is fake love, parasitic love, vampiric love. It's that dynamic where a person unloads all their emotions on you, expecting you to process them, to make sense of their chaos, to reassure them, to understand them. But then they never reciprocate. They don't ask how you're really feeling. They don't notice when you're exhausted. They don't see when you're about to collapse, because they don't care. You're a means, not an end. You're an emotional instrument, not a person. And when you finally understand this, when you finally refuse to continue emptying yourself to fill their emptiness, they punish you. They make you feel selfish, bad, wrong, as if expecting reciprocity were asking too much. But reciprocity isn't asking too much. It's the minimum. It's the foundation. If someone can't give you even a fraction of what you give them, that person doesn't love you. They're using you. And calling them by their true name is the first step to freeing yourself. Because as long as you keep justifying, as long as you keep saying, but they had a difficult childhood, but they're going through a difficult time. But deep down, they need me. As long as you make excuses for them, you'll remain trapped. Because you had a difficult childhood. You go through difficult times. You have needs. But when it's time to receive, there's no one. And that's not fair. And you shouldn't accept it. And that's not love.
Think about all the relationships you've had, friendships, loves, colleagues, and you notice a pattern. Always the same script. At first, they idolize you. They tell you you're unique, that they've finally found someone who understands, that they can be themselves with you. And you believe it, because it's true. You create that safe space. You offer that understanding. You are that haven. But then, after a while, the decline begins. They become critical, demanding, resentful. They make you feel the weight of every imperfection while they ignore theirs. They berate you for the smallest things while you've forgiven them mountains. And when you finally had enough, when you finally say enough, they play the victim. They tell others that you're the problematic one, that you're the unstable one, that you're the one who ruined everything. They rewrite history, and you're left there wondering if you've gone crazy. But you haven't gone crazy. You've just encountered people incapable of honoring your gift. People who wanted the benefits of your empathy without paying the price of reciprocity. People who chose you not because they loved you, but because they could use you. And now that you've begun to see it, now that you've begun to understand the game, you have to make a choice. You can continue to accept crumbs from people who treat you like an option, or you can decide that you deserve more, that you deserve people who aren't afraid of your depth, who aren't threatened by your authenticity, who don't try to diminish you to feel better about themselves. And yes, this probably means losing some people. People you thought were important, people you loved, people you invested time, energy, and heart in. But holding them close as they drain you, and you'll lose yourself. And you are the only person you have to live with for the rest of your life. You can't betray yourself to maintain relationships that require you to be less than you are. You can't continue to make yourself small to make others feel great. You can't sacrifice your light on the altar of other people's insecurity. Not anymore. So what do? You start creating boundaries. Not walls, boundaries. There's a difference. Walls keep everyone out. Boundaries filter. They let in the deserving and keep out the harmful. And your boundaries must now be clear. You no longer offer your empathy to anyone who asks for it. You no longer empty yourself to fill those who aren't willing to do their own internal work. You no longer accept criticism disguised as concern. You no longer tolerate projections that paint you as the problem. You no longer justify behaviors you would never accept from yourself. And when you start doing this, when you start protecting your energy, an interesting thing happens. Some people disappear. They vanish. And you realize they were only there for what you gave them, not for you, for the service you provided. And it hurts. Of course it hurts. But it's also liberating, because you finally see the truth. And the truth, even when it hurts, is always better than a comfortable lie. Because the lie keeps you caged. The truth frees you.
And then, slowly, you begin to attract different people. People who have done their work, who have faced their shadows, who don't need to diminish you to feel whole. People who see your sensitivity and honor it. Who ask how you are and truly wait for a response. Who reciprocate. Who give as much as they take. Who aren't afraid of depth because they have cultivated their own. And with these people, your empathy doesn't exhaust you, it nourishes you, because you're finally giving to those who know how to receive, and receiving from those who know how to give. You get out of bed, you go to the window, you look at the sleeping city, and you realize that your sensitivity was never the problem. The problem was living in a world that had forgotten how to feel, and meeting people who hate you to remind them of it. The problem was believing that love had to hurt, that giving meant emptying yourself, that being empathetic meant being a doormat. But now you know. Empathy is power when protected. It is strength when conscious. It is a gift when honored. And you, now, are the guardian of your gift. You no longer give it away. You share it, only with those who deserve it. And yes, there will still be difficult times, still people who will try to use you, still voices that will tell you you're too much. But now you have a filter, an even more refined radar, because you've learned to distinguish true love from disguised envy, authentic appreciation from disguised exploitation. And that distinction saves you. It protects you. It allows you to be yourself without paying the price of self-destruction. This is your new era, the era of the sovereign empath, no longer wounded, no longer available to anyone, no longer willing to sacrifice for the sake of peace, but present, authentic, powerful. Choose who you share your inner world with. Choose relationships that expand you instead of relationships that diminish you. Choose love that celebrates instead of love that controls. Because you deserve it, not because you're perfect, but because you're real. And in the world of masks we live in, authenticity is the rarest currency, and you have it. So the next time someone tells you you're too sensitive, smile. Because you understand. You're not too sensitive, they're too insensitive. You're not too deep, they're too shallow. You're not too much, they're too little. And it's no longer your job to shrink yourself to make them feel better. It's their job to grow. And if they don't want to, it's no longer your problem. Your empathy is sacred, and sacred places aren't open to everyone. Only to those who know how to take their shoes off before entering.